G'day everyone and welcome back to Baggers Unfiltered 26. I'm your host Henry and you are...
Louis from Carlton Flaggers and the Perth Blue Baggers pod.
Well, always say that when we start a pod. Well, uh, I mean, it's not as bad. It's not as good. There's so much to cover in this pod, but
Mm.
it's not what you call the worst loss we've ever had.
It's what you call an honourable loss. We've gone back to that
Yeah,
rhetoric.
I think I think you can take more positives out of this one than you can throughout the whole losses this year.
Yeah,
I think there was fight and there was a four-quarter performance, but there wasn't.
3 quarters,
Uh,
perhaps.
yeah, probably 3 quarters, 3.5 maybe.
Three. I'll give you three
There
and a half
wasn't
because
any capitalising.
yeah,
There was not much.
capitalisation.
Yeah, we suck, bro. When you put it really into a perspective, I've got a post that I'm going to read out. It's not really like what you do, Lou, but it is basically me summing up a loss. So another loss in 2026. Another loss under Michael Voss. Oh, another good rhyme. This one is one that we can take something out of because it isn't a blowout loss and it isn't a fade out loss. It's just a normal defeat. How did we get defeated, you might ask? The way the game was played before the rain came through, it basically dictated who was going to win that game, and Adelaide at home were never going to lose. When the rain came through, there wasn't much of a chance of being able to score for both teams, and it almost felt like a bit of a stalemate for the third quarter. The hometown Crows were just too good and read the ground better than Carlton. We made our mistakes, so we made a fair few errors, such as kicking outside 50, which I say every week, taking Williams outside of the midfield. Then we had no run in the middle, and he went quiet after that. But I didn't see a mix up, which was the most dumbest bullshit I've seen after we say that we'd mix up things. And it's the same midfield after every contest. Pitto, Cripps, Walsh, Jagger. Pitto, Cripps, Walsh, Chera. Hock,
Yeah.
Cripps, Walsh, Chera. Hock, Cripps, Walsh, Jagger. Why not mix it up? Why not Pitto, Walsh, Williams, Ainsworth? Hock, Walsh, Williams, Carroll. Young guys, bit of speed on the ball, can actually lower their eyes. Trust them with it. But I get we're trying to make a difference because dropping, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where we're actually trying to make this difference because dropping George Stewart looked to sum up our season so far, in my opinion. And I think we've shot ourselves in the foot again, on which was actually quite a winnable game when you look at it. We fought a 1-4.
Well articulated. Yeah, I mean, what did I have to say? It was an honourable loss. Second half fade outs didn't occur this time. Maybe there was a shift in mentality too that had to try and chase rather than defend, which kind of worked in our favour. Hopefully, if the margin is a bit closer for the next few games and we're losing at half time, then perhaps we'd have more of a chance. I think they probably went into the second half thinking, oh, let's give it a good old crack. We don't have to, it's not our game to lose anymore. But ultimately, with the rain coming through and the fact there was such a high margin, like 4 goals or something, that's hard to get back. But we did a really good job after that second quarter. But first, I think we should go into that second quarter because that's where the game was lost. The decision not to play Cripps in for the start of the first few centre bounce attendances proved quite detrimental, I would say. However, there was also an argument. I don't know what your take is on this, though. that there was quite a few free kicks that were given through the middle, which could have, which kind of helped them get their entry inside 50, and which when it went into their inside 50, our defensive 50, it was pretty putrid because without Wiedering, we seemed to lose just structure and all accountability, really. And it was Lewis Young and the rest weren't so reliable. Lewis Young did his job to a degree, I think. But unfortunately, he taps the ball onto the ground and creates more havoc than need be. It's his disposal use after it that's a bit compelling.
People are going to come after me for this, and I reckon people will still be watching at the 6-minute mark. But this will get you watching a bit more because this is a rogue prediction on something that you might, think, what the hell is this kid on about? Lewis Young hasn't been that bad this year. He hasn't been as bad as people are actually rating him out to be. He kept Van Rooyen to 0 goals. He kept Lynch to 2 freebies. And he kept Phil Thorpe to 1. I don't know what more you want to ask from him, but that's pretty bloody good. That's better than he's sure as shit not a better defender than Jacob Wiedering, and he never bloody will be. But Jacob Wiedering's given up a few goals this year, and Lewis Young has not given up many. So I just want to put it out there that when Lewis Young is actually going all right, I think he isn't our worst player. As much as people are rating him out to be, because some people take it really far with Lewis Young, and I mean really far. And I go as far as if Lewis Young isn't out of this team, I'm going to do something that they shouldn't.
I see that argument. Like I said, it says, his ball use, really, that's a bit of a problem. But a few weeks ago, was it against Melbourne, maybe? I think his ball use was a little better, still a bit problematic. But then what happens if Lynch capitalised on a few more goals? I don't think we'd be talking about this, though. I think if he kicked 5
the thing is, he didn't.
Goals, he didn't, yes. But he still let him have 9 scoring shots.
Yeah. But we won, and he didn't convert. So take it and run.
Okay. And so we did. So did the team.
It was
now that win does feel quite quick.
And in that game, Lynch got a fair few free kicks that were sure as shit not free kicks, and even I could tell from where I live, and that's 4.5 hours away. So, actually, no, I was at that game. What am I talking about? Oh no!
Yeah, holy airball.
But I could actually tell at the game that there wasn't a free kick. You can tell so much more at games than what you can on the telly.
Yeah, don't rub it in. Now, what else do I have to say? We talked about coaching rotations, yes. Inefficient forward connection. So we went at 40% inside 50 efficiency, which was below theirs by a significant margin. Let me just get that up for a second. Whatever that is. 50. They went at 51%. We went at 40%. So pretty much that means every second time the ball entered Adelaide's forward 50, they scored, which is an indictment on the team. And
it's so annoying, man.
And this is my real jab at Michael Voss here. He has had 6 months to figure out the defensive matchups to play against Ben Keys, Rochelle, all of these other players that always dominate against us. Pickett, who else? Sheasel, all of these players and Wardlaw, they all dominate against us, and there seems to be no plan to keep these players accountable. You've had 6 months to figure this out throughout the preseason. Sort it out. Now, one positive. I have one good positive about this game. So we actually laid quite a fair number of tackles, which was good to see. So let me get it up. 87 tackles, which is way above our average of 58.2. I know it's a wet game and all, but I think that's an extraordinary number even for the weather. So the pressure was on. We were able to keep up with our contest and pressure sort of game style, which is still outdated. But and they had 71 tackles, but 16 tackles more than them is pretty decent. So and 19 tackles inside 50. That's great. So keep that up, Blues. But you know that stat that Sam Doherty said we only win 7% of our games, I think, when we lose contested possessions. Well, we lost contested possessions again, so that again amplifies the fact that we are so reliant on that part of our game style, even without Hewitt in the team. And I think we can get into some of your thoughts on the selection, especially O'Keefe. But
Yeah,
actually, you know what? Go into that. Yeah, let me hear your thoughts.
First off, I think that it was the wrong choice, and I think that the way the fans reacted was, some people are calling it utter bullshit and that we shouldn't have reacted the way we did, and I think that it was perfectly justified. I don't think Hudson O'Keefe is a very good AFL footballer. Like, he's obviously hasn't got much experience, and neither has Flynn Young. But when you look at the conditions in the morning on Dan Does Footy's story, on Sench Footy's post, that's where you got to look at it and be like, why the fuck haven't we picked Flynn Young? Why the fuck haven't we picked George Hewitt? Because that's the conditions that they thrive in. That's why they're in the AFL. They can play some. Well, it's not the whole reason, but it's part of a reason that they can play some beautiful wet weather footy. They can move the ball forward. They can contest. They can go the next step in wet weather footy. Now, what I mean by that is there is obviously a lot of fumbling, but with them too, they are very clean with the football in hand. Very clean. Flynn Young is a goal scorer. He likes to hit scoreboard, and that's something you need when the wet weather footy is going the rate it is. And I didn't think Taylor Byrne was good. He had a lot of pressure acts, but that's where I would like him to be able to hit the scoreboard. And I could ask that from 3 or 4 other blokes as well. Just to, chip one. If you can just chip 2 in that third quarter when it's absolutely pelting down rain, all of a sudden it's like, hello, Carlton are only 2 or 3 goals out of it now. Like, hello, but we could be on. And then all of a sudden the fourth is all dried up. The ball's a little bit more dry, and we annihilated them in the fourth quarter. Like for the first half of it anyway, and then Isaac Rankin decided to do the goal celebration.
Yeah. Bit of self-promotion, yeah.
But overall, I think that it was the wrong decision to bring Hudson O'Keefe in. I thought it was. Oh, I don't know if you heard that. I hope you didn't.
Continue.
Yeah, I just think it was the wrong decision to bring Hudson O'Keefe in. I think George Hewitt should have played.
Well, I have a few things to say about that. So, I think George Hewitt's omission was harsh, but also needed. So we've been calling for selection integrity for ages, and finally we saw it. So you had one half of Carlton fans agreeing with that position, and then another half saying no. So to get rid of your best and fairest is a pretty big indictment, but I would say that we looked a bit more dynamic with Williams and Elijah Hollins rotating through that midfield rather than Hewitt, because we already had Chera and Cripps getting most of the clearances. So we put runners in, which seemed to help, at least in the first quarter it did. And when the rain came through, I didn't think we were that exposed as I thought we would be without Hewitt. So I think it did work to an extent. But what I will not agree with is the Hudson O'Keefe decision. Sure, we needed a chop and ruck, but even you could have even got Mackay or whoever to do that, and or Kemp when you keep Pito in just for centre bounce attendances, because that would be right. Don't rest him at all for that. But Hudson O'Keefe to only play 32% time on ground is quite a waste of space, if you ask me. That's putrid. A putrid call by Voss there. It's just a waste of spot, really. You could put Flynn Young in, get some even more speed on the ball. Even Hewitt over that would have made more of a difference too. So it's a shame, really. It's a bittersweet analysis, I would say. You're muted.
Oops. It's generally getting out of hand, the amount of times that we have to keep saying, this is unacceptable, this is ridiculous. But at least, we are able to acknowledge that we gave some sort of effort this week. I think that
old Carlton wouldn't have. Last year, Carlton wouldn't have shown the fight for 4 quarters as we did today, because there was that Adelaide loss last year. There was the Port Adelaide game over in Adelaide as well. And then we also had the Collingwood game where we lost quite significantly. And that was due to losing the game initially and just never getting back into it. But for once, we did show a bit of a fight. So, look, we're not rewarding mediocrity by any stretch, and we're not at all saying that it's acceptable. We're very much annoyed by the result because we want to be winning, and as it stands, 1 and 4 is a pretty bitter spot to be in. So work certainly needs to be done if you want to avoid finishing in the mediocrity area, and I think at the moment that's looking likely. But then it might help with the rebuilding stage. Who knows? I think we are going to go into a rebuilding stage, and that will be more and more clear in the next few weeks, if not already. So there will have to be some pretty big changes. Voss is not making the decisive calls we want. Does one good thing, but then stuffs up the next thing. Like, doesn't take brains to figure that out. Hudson O'Keefe made no difference to that game whatsoever. And he didn't even provide anything in the VFL the week before, so I don't know what warranted his selection anyway.
He was fucking he was so average in the VFL the week before. Bro, Liam Reedy took him for a walk, bro. He would have been in if he didn't decide to put someone in an early retirement home, man. He just went thus. 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, and I think you notice that we haven't talked so much about the free kicks and whatever. Sure, there were some terrible arc decisions and controversy with it all, but I honestly don't think that we just weren't the better team on the day. It's as simple as that. Carlton fans, stop being so delusional. Acknowledge that our team was shit today. Okay? It's not that hard to understand.
I'll put it this way, and it's pretty bloody simple. It's basically what you just said. The umpiring was shit for both sides. we were the shitter side on the day. We should have lost that game by probably a lot more if it didn't rain. Pull your
Yeah.
Carlton fans need to pull their heads in, focus that the umpires are just there to do their job. If they say a free kick, they're going to give a free kick, right? Like obviously Carlton fans are going to crack it at the head at the moment, but got to lock in because there's one day there's going to be a Carlton fan that does something to an umpire, and I'm not going to like it. And yeah,
It's
it's going
happened
to be a long
before,
story.
remember? Some knob to bottle at the goal umpire, and really this 1% of people that promote and use their language in a really destructive way, especially on some mediums, right? And it doesn't make the rest of the fan base look good. It's only the 1%, but we get categorized as all fiery and infuriated. I know that we don't take our losses very well, but we also would take our wins quite well too. And I think that's what being a supporter is. You know, we've talked about this last week on Thursday or whatever, Wednesday night, about Gary Lyons' sentiments about Carlton fans. So I won't get into that again. So we're just trying to not be naive here. What about, let's go into player stats, because that's normally a good topic to talk about.
There's a fair few of them this week, which is nice. Bit of a change. I like it.
It was hard to determine who was best on ground, but there was at least a few who made up a list of contenders, I guess. Better than last week. Anyway. Yeah. So obviously you had Cripper leading from the front initially, just like everyone didn't quite have the full complete game though. He had 29 disposals, 9 tackles, 10 score involvements, 11 ground balls, 5 score launches, 7 clearances. So that was decent, yeah. Good to see him get into a bit of form. Yeah. Now, he and Dawson had a very good battle. The reason why Dawson wins is because he can actually, unlike Cripps, throughout his career, can actually nail goal moments. Those are pivotal to shaping the game. Cripper cannot do that, and unfortunately, that's the sort of legacy that he'll always have, not being accurate in front of goal. If he gives us a few goals here and there, we would be a much, much better team. Albeit there is other issues going on, but his personal accolades would be worth a bit more, I reckon. He's just not up there with Hunt in his career.
His goal kicking is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, my PC's running low. That can't be good, can it? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Nope. Shit. Sam Walsh was also decent. Actually, he was only good for the first quarter, where he got 15 disposals and 11 score involvements or something like that. But he got a few more disposals throughout the game, but was non-existent when the game was lost in the second quarter. He finished with 29 disposals, 8 tackles, 9 intercepts, 11 score involvements, 12 ground balls, and 5 inside 50s.
Oh no, I've died. Cool. I'm so sorry, Louis.
Okay. Pitto was also decent. He was among our best with 16 disposals, 7 tackles, 10 contested possessions, 10 clearances, and 33 hitouts. So he won that battle there, ruck battle. Florent, albeit he had a few turnovers, but it's good to see him give it a real hot go. And he's been very consistent, at least, throughout the season. So 25 disposals, 10 contested possessions, 10 ground balls, 580 meters gained, 5 inside 50s, 5 rebound 50s, and 8 intercepts. I think he's been the best recruit so far. Hayward's been abysmal.
Who? Florent or Ainsworth?
Florent. Ainsworth kicks a few goals and disappears, so it can't be him. So Florent it is.
I
Nick
was like,
Haynes.
I was about to say, sorry, I was about to say that Ben Ainsworth is really strong in the contest, but once I saw that Jordan Dawson moment, that flashed back in my head, I thought, oh shit, don't
Yeah,
even mention Ben Ainsworth and strength. Bro,
no, fair.
there's so many. There's it's another problem. There's so many people in our team that are that weak. They can't tackle. There's
Yes,
15 blokes that get run through every single week before two people just go bang. It takes two people to get one person down, and they weigh like 70 kilos. Pull your head out of your ass.
fair enough. Yeah, missed tackles has certainly been an issue throughout the year. But I mean, at least we did nail the tackles today. But yet the goals, there needs to be goal saving tackles too, and that wasn't quite evident in that game. So Nick Haynes was also decent, 18 disposals, 8 marks, 5 of which were intercept marks, so that's great. 9 intercepts, possessions, 478 meters gained, 6 right 1 percenters. So it's good to see him come straight back in and make a difference. I don't think he will lose his spot when Weeders comes in, that's for sure. Nick Newman, 19 disposals, 95% disposal efficiency, 4 intercepts, 546 meters gained, and 8 rebound 50s. He's the most composed player out there. So that's why I put him in my votes for the Carlton Content Creators MVP votes. So it's worth a mention. And then finally, Matt Carroll with 13 disposals, 6 intercepts, 4 score involvements, 5 ground balls, 2 goal assists, and 1 goal. Was also decent. So you got a fair number of players this time around. Obviously, we want more contributing, but at least these players heaved most of the load throughout most of the game.
Yeah.
Anything else on the agenda?
Not from my end, Louis. No.
Nah.
One actually, I do have one quick thing. This will probably, hopefully, be released by Monday, won't it?
Yeah,
Maybe.
this is filmed on the Friday after the game, so it's Saturday or Sunday.
Yep. We on Monday are filming a preview versus Collingwood, and Wednesday are joined by Jed Lamb. So if anyone has any questions, bang in the comments, and we'll ask them for you. So I hope everyone is still here, and we'll ask a few questions. If not, then we're still having fun. We're still here. We're still, we're still having a go. Anyway,
Yep.
go Blues.
Like,
We'll come back.
subscribe, follow us on
Like,
Instagram
subscribe. Yeah. Yes.
at Carlton Blues 27 and at Carlton Flaggers 2026. That's where you can find most of our analysis, and hit us up if you want in our DMs if you want to talk about anything footy related. So catch you soon.
100%.
Up the baggers.
Righty. See you guys.